So you want to make Minecraft cinematics like these. Well, you're in luck, because today, I will be teaching you everything you need to know to make cinematics like those, as well as revealing some secret techniques that no one has been talking about. So let's get to it. This is... First, I have to tell you about the stuff that we'll be using. For the visuals, we'll definitely be needing some sort of shader pack. Personally, I'd recommend using either Bliss shaders or complementary Unbound plus Euphoria patches. Most shaders will work fine, but I find that these two are the best ones out there. For this demonstration, I'll be using the latter. The second and most important thing we need is the mod Flashback. If I were making this tutorial over a year ago, I would have picked Replay mod, but Flashback is a more modern alternative and has many more great features. So that's what we'll be using today. Now, let's get into the actual tutorial. So, when you first launch the game with Flashback installed, you'll notice a new button has appeared. Go ahead and click that. It'll open up the main menu of the mod. What we want to do, before anything, is to customize one setting. Just click on the button that says Flashback Options at the bottom. In Recording Controls, enable Quick Save. That's all you have to do. You can close the menu. Now, before we can even start creating cinematics, we'll need to record some footage first. It's a very simple process. Load into any world, open the game menu, and press the camera button. From then on, Flashback will record every loaded chunk around a player until you manually stop or cancel it with these two buttons. If you want to pause your recording, there's a button for that too. So to actually access your recordings, you have to go back to the main Flashback menu where you'll see all your replays. From there, you'll want to click on the one that you just made, which will take you to where all the magic happens. Alright, let me break down the different parts of the interface. At the bottom, you'll notice a timeline, and just to the left of it, you'll find the timeline controls. With them, you can start the replay, speed it up, slow it down, and skip to the end or the beginning of it. You can click and drag the timeline marker to go to a specific point in the recording, and use your scroll wheel to zoom in or zoom out. At the bottom, there's a white bar which you can drag along the timeline to move along it. Just next to it, you'll find the Elements panel. Think of it as a control center for things such as FOV, speed, and time of day. On the right side of the screen, you'll find the Visuals menu. It allows you to control what you want to see by default. For instance, you can disable certain things in the world like particles and mobs. You can override the weather, the time, the FOV, and even the fog. In the GUI section, you can toggle on or off many on-screen elements. In the Other section, you can enable a center and rule of thirds guide, as well as being able to change the aspect ratio. For the non-nerds out there, it's basically how wide or tall a screen is. Every time I open a new replay, I immediately toggle off name tags and toggle on the rule of thirds guide. Lastly, if you go to the top left corner, you'll find a bunch of tabs doing various different things. The first tab, named Files, is the most important one here. It's the one that will allow us to export cinematics. The one right next to it, Preferences, isn't needed in this tutorial, so just skim past that one and look at the third tab, Player List. This one's real useful. You can use this tab to teleport to, spectate, or hide any player in the recording. The Movement tab is really simple. It's for, well, customizing movement. A change I'd highly advise is to set the momentum slider to 0. The last important one here is the Render filter. It allows you to disable specific entities and particles, besides items. Now it's time to talk about... The movement controls are practically identical to the ones in spectator mode. You can use the scroll wheel to increase or decrease your flight speed by scrolling up or down respectively. If you click anywhere on the timeline and press I, you'll create an in point. And if you go anywhere forward and press O, you'll create an out point. In points are for marking when during the replay you want to start your render, and out points are for marking the end of your render. For example, if you make an in point at 100 and an out point at 105, your cinematic will last for 5 seconds. By pressing either the tab or the F1 button, it will put you into full screen mode. Now that you guys know all about the layout and controls, it's time to show you guys how Minecraft cinematics are made. When first creating a cinematic, you'll want to decide the starting position for your camera by moving around and clicking and holding on a screen to rotate. I'd highly advise you to use the rule of thirds guide to get whatever subject in position. I recommend having it roughly centered along the vertical lines. Then, create an endpoint for the timeline. After you've done that, there's one last thing to do: lower our FOV. If you're like everyone, you probably have yours at around 90 to 110. And while that's perfect for playing Minecraft normally, it's not for cinema. So unless you absolutely need to, keep your FOV at least under 70, because it is essential for that cinematic look. Now that you have your camera in position, click Add Elements at the bottom and select Camera. Then just press the plus icon to add a keyframe. That one will mark the beginning of the cinematic. By right clicking it, a little menu will pop up. There are 3 things I want you to look at: the yaw, the pitch, and the roll. These are extremely important terms to know. Yaw is the horizontal rotation of the camera, pitch is the vertical rotation of the camera, and roll is the tilt of the camera itself. The angles of yaw and pitch aren't relative to the camera, but the world. You can check the world's yaw and pitch in the F3 menu. The next thing we want to do is determine our second keyframe. Find the end position and create a new keyframe. While making sure you're not doing it over the first keyframe, shift it forward. How much you shift it forward depends on how long you want the cinematic to last. Here's an example. If you want the transition to last for 2 seconds, shift it 40 ticks forward. 1 second equals to 20 ticks. Pro tip: you can undo actions on a timeline by pressing Ctrl and Z. If you've done everything correctly, go back to your first keyframe, press play, and you will see your cinematic. If you want to change the keyframe interpolation, which is just jargon for the kind of camera movement, just right click on the keyframe you just made and click here. You'll see options for many different kinds of keyframes. By default, it's going to be a smooth keyframe, which means that the transition will be smooth all throughout. If you change it to linear, the transition will be robotic and stopped abruptly. Ease in starts out slow while accelerating, and ease out does the opposite. Ease in/out is a combination of the latter two that I've just mentioned. It starts out slow, reaches peak speed around the middle, and ends slow. Hold, evidently, holds the current keyframe in position until the next one, which it will then immediately jump to. The last and most complicated one is called Hermite. What it does is make sure that there are no harsh angles in the movement, so it remains a fluid motion all throughout. It's only really useful when using multiple keyframes in one shot. Once your cinematic is ready to go, mark the end of it with an out point. You can then enable your shaders, then click on the Files tab again and press Export to Video. If you want to record audio, toggle that on. Then, just start the export and save it somewhere, preferably in a designated folder. And there you go. You've created a cinematic. Do some color grading and you've got yourself a nice looking replay. Now, with all the new information you possess, you have the ability to make some beautiful cinematics. So go out there and start creating. There's many more advanced elements besides the camera, but covering them would require a whole nother video. If you're willing to stay for just a bit longer, I'll be sharing some special features I've learned along the way. Starting with, you can give the glowing effect to any entity by right-clicking them and selecting the Force Glow option. It can come in handy when you want one to stand out. In the same menu, you can toggle whether you want to show equipment for different parts of a player, such as their gear, offhand, and main hand. You can resize different parts of the interface and even drag them to different positions, as well as being able to combine different tabs into one window. By clicking on a replay and pressing edit, you can name them to keep them organized. And finally, the most useful tip of them all, number 5. If you go into creative mode by pressing F3 and F4, you can access a secret element called Block Override. By breaking or placing any new blocks, it will create a new track and keyframe. With this element, you can build or destroy anything inside the replay. I like to use this one to make my cinematics look cleaner by removing distracting elements, like ugly patches of dirt. And with that, that's everything I have to share today. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like. Okay, that's it from me. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.